honestly don't even want to think of where I'd be if I didn't have the band and the record. It was honestly what saved me.
I have the wonderful Chad Green of Frozen Soul with me today. How are you, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, good man. Surprisingly quite chipper for 7:30 on a Wednesday miserable night in London. So, let's jump right into Glacial Domination. So,
Yeah.
what was the vibe like when it came to writing the record? Because it's a follow up to Crypt Device, which was so well received. Were you kind of a bit like, damn, what are we gonna pull out the bag here?
Yeah, I mean, like we had a lot of things to consider when we were like writing this record. Like, okay, how do we become Frozen Soul, and have a legacy of our own and like maintain ourselves as a band so that we can keep doing this? Because I mean, like, you know, a lot of people may be like, okay, Frozen Soul, this is a new band. They just popped up. But the fact of the matter is like, we're not new. Like, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's like one of those things where it's like, we've been working for this our whole lives. And so we're like, how do we like preserve what we're doing? And so a lot of thought and consideration went into, the whole record and, transitions and samples and, down to songwriting in general. Like, we wanted to like, write songs that felt more like songs, not just like ass whooper into ass whooper and have the mosh pit going crazy, which I love. We love that. And I guarantee that's going to happen with this because it makes me want to mosh listening to these songs. The main focus just became like, how do we stay Frozen Soul, but at the same time, become Frozen Soul, not Bolt Thrower Jr. If someone's like, man, this is like Cold Thrower, I'm like, let's go. That is sick because, I don't hear a lot of bands playing styles of music that honor bands like Bolt Thrower, which in my eyes is the greatest death metal band that's ever existed.
It's so cool, man. Also, that is 10 out of 10 pun work for Coles.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you kind of touched on Matt Heafy being a producer, but I was wondering kind of how much of a role did he have in, did he implement new ideas, or was it kind of like, just more behind the scenes? What was kind of the vibe there?
So, like, my favorite thing to say about like Matt and his involvement with Frozen Soul is that like he really helped give us the confidence that we needed to take risks in the band. He helped us understand that you can add more leads, you can add solos, you can have some more structure to like choruses and stuff like that. You can do those things and still do the things that you love. On top of that, like there are two songs on the record in particular that are they're different, but it's the title track, Glacial Domination, and then another song, Abominable. Like those songs, they are the biggest leaps I think that we took as a band. Um, the riffs are a lot more earwormy. They are more simple in the state that they are in the song, but like they stick with you. Heafy does guest solos on Glacial Domination and guest vocals, and he also does vocals on Abominable too. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so I mean those two songs like they're different, but they're still Frozen Soul, and I think they show like, you know, they show that like, hey, like we're a death metal band, but like, you know, we're musicians, and we're artists, and this is our life, and this is what we want to do, and so like doing the same old chug riff every single time, that's not going to do it for us as people. Going out there and meeting Matt and talking with him, it's 100% the reason why this record came together as it is. Because if we didn't do that, then you know, I don't know how it would have turned out, because, there was just so much going on. So huge role, like, now he's one of my best friends, great guy, like
That's
such
so
a
cool.
talented, awesome, genuine, kind-hearted dude. Like, best guy. So yeah, I
I
know
t-
that's way more. I know that's way more than what the question asked for,
no, no.
but like,
That's,
you know, I think people watching this, they need to like understand that like Matt's a guy who has like achieved so many great heights as like an artist and a musician. And you know, he did it being a genuine guy,
yeah.
being a lover of metal and a lover of music. And you know, having that involved in this band really showed us that like you can achieve great things and still be a good person and
Mhm.
still love and still have passion, you know. And that people need to know that, you know, because you know, they just do. They
Yeah,
do.
man.
It's a weird for someone to see someone that supports our like wave of death metal and stuff, or not our wave, but you know, the wave we're a part of, to support that and to be a fan of that, and then see a band like Trivium, you know. It's a little like, it's a little jarring to someone who has like, who hasn't listened to Trivium, you know,
Mhm.
and doesn't know their background and stuff like that. So some of, and we have had some people that have like, you know, been like, oh man, what's this going to be like, you know, they just don't know. So I think it's important for people that watch like this to understand that like this was an amazing thing that happened. Go listen to Trivium. Maybe that'll help bring you some insight, because Trivium is an amazing band.
What are the themes of glacial domination then?
So, I mean, it kind of, unfortunately, like this is one of those things where, you know, it's not as 100% creative as like some people would have thought. It does touch on a lot of the things that we touched on Cryptovice, but where I think the creativity really shines is in the like delivery, because I think on this record we're able to like deliver some of those problems that, you know, we have to deal with, that everyone has to deal with. We were able to like deliver those themes, you know, a little bit better. You know, on this record, like there is themes of like dealing with depression and dealing with loss, dealing uh, with anxiety, and that's a huge focus throughout the whole record. And you know, there's also like a delivery of a theme of horror, I think, which is like a little bit better than the last record. I was dealing with a whole lot when we were writing this record, you know, a whole lot. And so was my brother Josh. And one of the things that I think helped with the theming and stuff of this record is having him next to me. Like my brother had just passed away. We were having to write this record. We were having to prepare for, you know, all this stuff, you know, coming up, and we were just like, how, what do we do? So having him there to help me cope and to also help with lyrics and themes and stuff like that, turned out like really great. That's how we came up with the idea for the thing,
So
kind of
good.
like stuff. And so two of the songs on the record, Frozen Soul and Assimilator, are based off of the thing. And they kind of go together. And I mean, if you kind of didn't get it, like Frozen Soul, you know, obviously the thing is like sort of a frozen soul, that has like a bunch of souls really trapped inside of this thing, you know. Yeah, those are two really good songs, and they kind of have that horror theme, which is something we wanted to do from the very beginning, you know. And with this, like we like started with we're gonna have a vibe, you know, and we're gonna have it through the record, and we're gonna take the listener on a journey, you
Yeah.
know. And it's gonna start off just in your face. Then it's gonna hit some like horror movie, like synth style, 80s synth wave style, like horror samples and stuff. And then it's going to move into, you know, move into the revenge, and then it's going to move into this like this grand sort of like horror movie vibe, and it'll bring it all together, you know. And so, I mean, really, like, I can't wait. I can't wait. I mean, I'm glad that you've heard the record, because like I can't wait for people to get their hands on it and actually like listen front to back, and hear the samples in between, hear how the songs blend into each other
Yeah.
and that kind of stuff. Cause like, when you're listening like to the digital stuff, like there's like a cut, and you can't hear it as much. But when you listen on vinyl, just wait. Like it's like it's an experience,
Oh man.
it's a real experience because like Death and Glory ends and it ends on the Morbid sample. And then it's the same, like there's this song Annihilation, and it was written by us and Daniel, our producer, and it's a like sort of a prelude to Glacial Domination, and
Yeah.
it's just straight up like 80s horror synthwave, and it is a synthwave song of its own. It's its own track on the record. And then right after that song, it goes into the Thing related songs, and the sample for that was actually done by synthwave master Ghost or Gost.
No
uh,
way.
yeah, our friend James, he lives in Texas.
Oh,
He's on
cool.
Century Media. Um, we worked with him. He's a fan of the thing too, and just we're boys. We played in hardcore bands and stuff together, and everything back in the day. So he's just a really good dude, and he was totally down, helped, and he did a few of the samples on the record. Actually, he did the sample at the beginning of the record. He did that sample. He did the sample for Abominable. Like, I really can't wait to read reviews and stuff from the ones that like actually listen to the whole thing front to back, because I think the themes, are there and they're easy to see.
Yeah.
They're not like hidden, you know, necessarily. So I think the ones that like read the lyrics and listen to the songs front to back are I think they're going to be blown away, because we really did put a lot of time and effort into writing it. Again, super drawn out and stuff. I'm just really proud of, I'm honestly really proud of what we did. There was at one point I didn't think we were going to do it, and that was around the time, I was dealing with my brother, uh, and his passing. And I was just like, there's no way I can do this. So I'm just like so insanely thankful to like be where we are right now and have a finished record,
Yeah.
because I was like really struggling, for a while. So
Did it kind of help to have the record as a bit of a like a beacon that you could sort of go back to?
big time. Yeah, I mean, it was like it was crazy because like so much stuff was happening, that like I knew like where my priorities were. I knew like I had to focus on the band. I had to, you know, also focus on my brother Josh,
Yeah.
and myself, and so I think having the creation of the record sitting there and happening right in front of me, and we're working on it together, was like the best coping mechanism I could have. And also knowing that we were going to be able to go out on tour, and I was going to be able to meet so many different people and talk, and you know and stuff like that. It's like, it's awesome. I mean, I don't know, honestly, don't even want to think of where I'd be if I didn't have the band and the record, during this whole thing and ordeal. It was honestly what saved me.
But that's like you say, it'll be such an inspiration for so many other people,
Yeah.
going through something in that kind of particular sort of circumstance. Like I was going to ask, how did you approach writing the lyrics, for Arsenal of War? Because it must have been, such a big thing to have this commemorative track for your brother.
Yeah. I mean, um, it's crazy. Like me and Josh were just coming up with ideas, right? We had just like come up with all this stuff for Frozen Soul and Assimilator. It was song 8 is what it was. And it was one of the last couple of songs I had to write lyrics for. And I remember like we were trying to come up with ideas, and we sort of just started spinning off. Josh had a bunch of ideas about whatnot, and somehow me and him came together on EverQuest. And that was always a huge part of our life when we grew up. And I don't know if you're familiar with the game or not, but EverQuest is like a massive multiplayer RPG, one of the first of its kind that was like World of Warcraft.
Hmm.
And games like Ultima Online, Diablo, all those games where you could just play with like a ton of people. We played that from like 1998 all the way up until World of Warcraft came out for me. I gave up the game. Cory never stopped. Um, he kept going. And so I gave him my character. The character's name was Swift Arrow. We started coming up with these ideas about like, okay, well, how do we like use like the metaphors and stuff of like, arrows, and then implement like things from the game. Like, I say words like grasping roots. That's a spell. Same with like storm of arrows and stuff like that. Those are spell names. And so we were trying to incorporate. And then when I was like, Swift, I mentioned the name of the character is Swift Arrow. So, like I tried to like we were just incorporating all these ideas and trying to come up with ways of like, okay, well, like, maybe it's like he finds this arrow, and he finds this arrow to like defeat this darkness. And we started coming up with all these ideas, and basically like we were in the studio recording the record, and I finalized the lyrics like right before I had to record them. And it basically turned into like he's basically like being chased by this darkness like his entire life. It's like something that we all feel. It's something that we all have to go through in some shape, or form. And you can make a choice to where like you let that darkness control you completely, you let it change who you are, the essence of who you are, or you fight it. you know and you don't always win every fight. And that's with everything. And if there's always a lesson to learn from it, whether you're learning the lesson or someone else is learning the lesson. There's a lesson to be learned. And in Cory's, specific situation, the darkness, it took him. And, at the end of the day, you know, that light that he had inside of him, it was always shining bright. And, we tried to basically make the song to where it shows that like, even though he was taken, we still have that gift that he gave us, and we can share it with one another. We can share it with everybody, and we can keep it going, and we can keep doing what he would have wanted to do, which is move forward and be positive and love and live. And so the lyrics and stuff, like I'll leave it to everyone to like read them, and go through it. It's not trying to get choked up on the camera right now.
No, no.
It's an incredibly heartfelt song. And it yeah, it's my favorite on the record. I love that song more than any other song on the record.
So we were kind of, talking about horror movies and things like that. And I had a couple of questions already prepped for The Thing.
Okay.
The first off is, who do you think is the Thing at the end? Is it Childs or McCready?
So, do you want me to get nerdy with it?
Yeah, man. Why
Because
not?
like the thing is there are the thing is there's a series of comics that come right after the movie. So like the thing is if you're looking at just the movie, um, I don't think that either one of them are. Okay. I don't think that either one of them are. And that was even from the first time I watched it. McCready gives Childs the drink, right? So that's kind of the like, here you go. And you could be like, wait, that was him trying to trick him. I don't,
Mm.
that was just, I mean, I took that for what it looked like, which was they're dead anyway. It's crazy because after the movie, all sorts of stuff happens. Like Childs drags him away. They end up on a submarine. Like all sorts of crazy stuff happens. They like break out of the submarine. I mean, all sorts of stuff happens. Childs ends up getting assimilated later.
Oh
Like,
wow.
I mean, like it's crazy. You should seriously, you can read all the comics online. They're so awesome. And what's cool is I've read them all online. So is my brother. We just like this past weekend or 2 weekends ago, I think it was, we went and spent a weekend in Denver filming the video for Frozen Soul and Assimilator, and also for Glacial Domination. And my brother Josh lives in Denver now, and he showed up with the 4 issues of um, Climate of Fear, which is the second series of comics. He gave me all 4, and then I ended up going to Mile High Comics and getting the first 2 issues, which are like the direct. So now I have all of them. I'm just missing the Viking comics.
Oh
There's
cool.
like a series of like it happens back in Viking times. Like it's nuts. Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, you can go back and it's like there's a lot to it. And
Wow.
like and honestly, if you think about it, like even before like we decided to do like a little crossover into that world, it already touched on a lot of the themes that like Frozen Soul talks about, anxiety, paranoia, not knowing who your friends are, not knowing who your
Mm.
family is sometimes, like, you know, all of the things that like are kind of built into like this band. The thing talks in socially comments on all that stuff. So it was really it's really cool. But I'm gonna go with, I know that's long drawn out, answer, but I'm gonna go with neither one of them. Yeah.
But that's man, you've opened up a whole world for me now because I thought I was a fan, geez,
Oh man, it
of
gets it
nothing.
gets crazy too because it actually goes more into like the assimilation and stuff and what happens, and like those things that it assimilates, their consciousness is still inside of it. So it's like it's cool, man. It's really, really, really cool, and we touch on that in the video a lot in the songs. Like read the lyrics, go read those comics and then read the lyrics in the song, and you'll have like a new appreciation for it. I promise you.
100%. Because I was going to say, how did you kind of, there's so many great elements of the thing. How did you kind of get the lyrics whittled down to what they are, where you're kind of like, yeah, okay, I think I've, you know,
Well, me and Josh,
assimilated.
yeah, me and Josh wrote a ton of lyrics for it. Like a ton of, it's like we wrote a ton of stuff. And it's like, the long and short of it is like the first song is from like the perspective of the human beings. The next song, Assimilator, is from the perspective of the thing. But if you look, I don't want to spoil this, but I really want to see people figure this out. But if you look, there are lyrics that are shared in both songs,
Okay.
specifically at the end. So at the end of the second song, you kind of see that like this is actually all from the perspective of the thing. It's already assimilated everyone. It's just this is a battle going on within itself, between all of the things that it's assimilated, all the memories that it has from all of the people that it's assimilated, all the consciousness is like it's there's a lot to it. So, it's not as cut and dry like this is McCready, this is,
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's I tried to make it a little bit more cool.
Yeah. So what is it that draws you towards horror? Because it's obviously such an important, element in Frozen Soul and to you as well.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like there are two genres that just do it for me. fantasy and horror. And they both kind of do the same thing, which is they take you to another place. That's kind of like kind of what we used for like Annihilation, you know. Like those vibes like that you get from that are like a fantasy vibe, but a dark fantasy vibe, like what you would see in like an 80s horror movie. You would see that stuff in Nightmare on Elm Street. You would hear that stuff in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You would hear that in the background noise in a dark fantasy movie, that has a level of like epicness to it,
Mhm.
and then horror movies came later because I tied it all together because it is a fantasy, it is a different world. It's just it all melds together for me.
I was going to ask who or what is the Abominable like sample at the beginning?
Yeah. So I don't fully know. It's like so it's sort of like it's weird because um I'm gonna say that it is sort of a trail off of the thing samples that we had because
Okay.
there's a sample, before Frozen Soul and a sample after. And obviously, like, those songs have to do with the crazy monster that assimilates people. So like I think like telling the story, once it gets to Abominable, like it's it's loosely tied to it in the fact that like that song is kind of like sometimes like you have to become a specific person to deal with a specific situation, and sometimes it's not the person that you want to be, but you have to do it, and so it kind of ties in with like the thing, because like sometimes like you don't want to get assimilated but you're gonna get assimilated. So, you know,
So I wanted to talk about the cover for a while as well, because that is just unbelievable. And I
mm,
think, to create one singular piece that kind of sums up this entire, I guess, universe is probably an appropriate sort of thing, because you could kind of go anywhere with the Frozen Soul world, couldn't you?
yeah, I mean, that's man, we never meant it to be that way. It just kind of turned out that way, honestly. Like we really, you know, yeah, I mean you can. And it just happened to work out that everybody gets cold, Everybody gets cold mentally, physically. There are tons of aspects of life that are comparable to like being cold and stuff. So like you could go any direction with it, really.
That's interesting. Yes, I kind of ended up asking two questions in one there. But so
No, yeah,
how
it's
did you
all good.
guys come up with the Glacial Domination artwork then?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, we that's probably like the aspect of the record we struggled with the most.
Mhm.
Because originally we were gonna just stick with Delio Josto, who did the last record, but because of everything that was like going on, tours and all that that we already talked about, like I basically like kind of forgot to hit him up and until it was too late. His schedule was already packed, and so he just couldn't do it, and we were scrambling, like looking around at different artists. And I've been a fan of James's work for a while, and me and James just kind of hit it off. I mean, he's a good dude. I draw logos and shirt designs and stuff for bands. I drew our logo and do a lot of the work for our shirt designs with in like collaboration with like other artists
No
and
way.
my
That's
friends. I sort of have this like expectation for like the way we want our stuff to look, and James kind of just got it. You know, we came up with the like a morbid effigy,
Mhm.
based off of the thing, and then we have the swift and the arrows, and you see like the art, the war that's happening, like all those little things were like little pieces and ideas that we talked about, and they all kind of came together. And James is like super fast at what he does, and he is very, very, very good. So he would just slap together I mean, it damn near looked like a full painting that he would send us. It just like came together, and we're just like, holy shit, add some more blood on the mountain and let's go. And side note, this album cover is digital. It is not a traditional style painting, and that
Wow.
was a risk we took because like obviously we're a band that likes to stick to the old school ways in a lot of things, but like I just really loved his artwork, and it just worked out really well. And he's very thoughtful in that sense on like, okay, well, I don't want to do what all these artists do,
Mhm.
uh, where they just like you make it look insane, where it's like, they zoomed in to the first pixel in existence and painted a Mona Lisa around it because they could zoom in that far. He's like real cognizant of that, so like he knows like that's not something we want.
I was going to say to kind of finish off because it sounds like it's been, a difficult process, but a labor of love. What would you say that you learned about yourself in making Glacial Domination?
I learned more about my best friends, than I did about myself. I learned more about my brother, Josh. I learned like way more about how like when we like really put our like minds together to make something and to create something that we feel is different, and that we feel like we could truly love, like we can accomplish anything. Because when we're in the depths of it, you know, um, plenty of times someone could just throw their hands up and want to give up, but nobody did. Everybody did everything they could to do the best job that they could.
Awesome, man. Well, it's definitely worked because I absolutely adore this album. It's so great, man. Honestly, like
Really happy you like it, man.
it's just it's everything I would have wanted and then a little bit more, from the Frozen Soul 2.0 kind of vibe. It's just great.
That makes me happy to hear, man, because there's always like a piece of you when you like step out on a ledge, where you're just like, are they gonna like it? You know, like, are they gonna see what we did? Like, does it even matter? You know, Hopefully you enjoy it a little bit more now, too. Now that like a little bit more about it, and you can go, when you get your vinyl, you listen to it front to back, man.
Yeah,
And
dude.
message me and let me know what you think.
Yeah, 100%,
Because
man.
worked really hard on it, and I think it's totally worth doing that, to get the whole vibe.
It's been amazing to chat with you, Chad. Thank you so much for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you so much for bringing me on.
No worries, man.